FAQ pages on your website, frequently asked questions. So for a few different reasons, I was going to give an example of kind of what that might look like. And a lot of it is just, what are the common questions people have that you can go ahead and answer before they ever have to call you. So that way all those questions are already answered. So by the time they're calling you, they're a much more qualified prospect because you've kind of answered a lot of the big questions. The other reason, so frequently asked questions, there's also what I like to call should ask questions that you can also add, which are more along the lines of really taking your expertise and thinking more of an advisory role. If you were advising a relative who lived in another state far away from you and they were looking for assisted living, for instance, what questions would you tell them they should ask when they're looking for a facility? So those are the should ask questions. So those are even more important type questions. So those two, those two I think are really great because that is a mix of what goes on your website, that can go on your social media, that's content that you can use in a lot of different places. And so you've got that kind of as your foundational content, your foundational kind of evergreen type of content. The other reason being that more and more of the voice search is using these FAQs to provide search results. So when somebody asks a question, because that's usually what happens in a voice search, they ask full questions. And that way, if they do that, then you have a chance of one of your FAQs potentially coming up in the search result. A lot of them, like Alexa or even Google, will actually say, read the question and then reference which website it came from, but then also show it in a search result. So like a Google Assistant would also show in the search result. Alexa is a little different because that's just a speaker device. So you don't see the search result. It's just going to tell you what that is. But Alexa now is not just a speaker device. It's an app. So people are actually putting the apps on their phones or even on their computers. So I have Alexa on my Microsoft computer, so I can still access all the features of Alexa and Amazon actually on my computer as well. Nice. So that's one big area that we've been looking at. How do we format the FAQs so that there's a chance of that coming up in some pieces or parts of any or all of those different search results. So let's see. So there was one here. I think I was doing. So Cortana uses primarily Bing for search results. So if I say assisted living in Centennial, Colorado.
I found 5 places matching living around Centennial Co. There's Samara and Glen, a life plan community at 5000 East Arapahoe Road. It's around 23 miles away.
So all of these results with that are on Bing. So a lot of businesses have not, or assisted living in particular, have not got themselves set up on Bing so that they could even show up in these search results. So that's one of the categories that we would look at for that. Let's see if I can read one of these This is one of my clients' websites, which I've not done this testing previously, so I have no idea what the result's going to be. Are your assisted living homes licensed by the state of Colorado? So that's bringing up a search result. Why is it so tiny? There we go. So it's bringing up some of the bigger websites. So this is more of a search result. Again, this is pulling up Bing. So if you're using Cortana, it may be connected to Bing as the search engine on that side, if someone's using that. Again, right now, it's really hard for us to kind of measure. We can see traffic from Bing, for instance, in Google Analytics, but it's hard to find out where did that come from. Was that a voice search, or did someone type in that search? So right now, that's really hard to designate. At some point, I think we'll have data tools where we can really see the difference between the two, to be able to measure, how much of this is actually voice search versus someone typing it in. Most likely, anything that's a full question, I feel like is more than likely some type of voice search for that. So it's a process of doing that and looking at, what are the FAQs that we have? What can we do to tweak those and adjust those and make those better? And so that, and try to really match. If someone was doing a voice search, what would they ask? And can we match up our FAQs to be in conjunction with that? So I think it's a great opportunity right now with all the voice search tools that are out there to have that on the website. But in general, I've been putting FAQs on websites, for the last 10 years. I always thought that was important from the very early on when we started doing this, that the more you can answer people's questions before they contact you, the better qualified that prospect's going to be. So it just becomes that much more important with all the voice search that's happening now. So that was the main thing I wanted to talk about today. Super simple. Nothing too crazy on
Sounds
that
good.
side.